Good morning. Good morning for those of you in Europe and good afternoon for those in China. This is Giulia Gallarati, Partnership Coordinator at China-Italy Chamber of Commerce, that is one of the implementing partner of EUSME Center. Today's topic is how to approach the Chinese tourism market and seize its opportunities. I suppose that the majority of you already knows about the center, but let me give you a short introduction. EUSME Center is a project founded by European Union, assisting small medium enterprises to do business in China by providing a comprehensive range of hands-on information, advices, trainings, and other supporting services. The center is implemented by a consortium of 6 partners, and China-Italy Chamber of Commerce is one of the partners who is organizing the webinar today. China-Italy Chamber of Commerce is an association that since 1991 gathers the Italian business community in China. It is recognized by both Italian government and in particular by the Italian Ministry of Economic Development and Chinese government, in particular by Chinese Ministry of Civil Affairs. And it's really important because China-Italy Chamber of Commerce belongs to the Italian institutional network in China. The aim of the Chamber is to assist and promote its members' activities together with promoting the Made in Italy in China. In 2015, we have more or less 600 members in all China, spread in 5 different offices that are Beijing, Chongqing, Shanghai, Suzhou, and Guangzhou. So now I will give you some information about today's webinar. The webinar will last for 1 hour with a short Q&A session in the end. Therefore, I would like to remind you that you can post questions or send your comments during the webinar through the question pane on the left on your screen. Our speakers today will try to answer the question as we go along or during the Q&A session at the end. In case your questions are not addressed by the end of the webinar, I will recommend you to register on the EUSME Center website and use Ask the Expert service. Our coordinator will soon send you the link to the website via the panel. Now, let me introduce you today's speaker. So, welcome Simone Sturla. He is the founder of the project Italibao, which is an Italian travel conciergerie made of people committed to deliver exclusive and high-quality service. They design tailor-made journeys and they present and offer Italian excellence through nobles' families' liaisons. He currently lives in Beijing, where beside managing his own brand, consults Chinese and international tour operators alike. I would like to hand over Simone now.
Thank you, Giulia. Welcome, everybody. Today, I will go through quickly of our agenda for this panel. So we will have an overview of historical background of China tourism industry and key tools for reading today's market. We will have a look about the demand, Chinese customer, and the market players. A couple of case studies will then lead us to conclusions.
So let's start the webinar with one poll question, our first one. In order to better know our audience, the first question I'm asking is your company already operating in China? Please answer yes or no. We're going to give you some seconds to vote. So 50%, 60%. We're gonna go through 80% and then close the poll question. Okay, so 80% of you already voted, and the majority of you, yes, is not yet operating in China. So, Simone, do you have any comment on the result? Is this surprising you?
But I see positively that this panel rose quite an interest toward people that are not currently working with the market. I hope it could be useful for future contacts.
Okay, thank you, Simone. Please, you can go through the first section of your webinar.
Okay, first section of the webinar, we'll see some biometrics of this young industry. We will go through a few technicalities and today's trends, current regulation. Maybe not all of you knows that China tourism industry is a very young one. Citizens start to travel, were allowed to leave the country only in 1983. And in this phase, there was pilot project which is called VFR, Visit Friends and Relative. This was allowed only in bordering region. We are waiting until, one important point is that during this period, the relatives were to bear all the expenses. We have to wait until 97 to have the, what we call ADS, approved destination status. So actually, outbound destinations are approved based on bilateral political agreement. And at this moment, the expenses are paid by the traveler themselves. The ADS system mirrors basically China growing political importance on the international arena. And in fact, we can see that in 99, we have countries that are relatively close to China, like Australia and New Zealand. And then after the entering of China in WTO in 04, we have all these Schengen countries that start to be recognized as approved destination status. As an example, this could be interesting. US obtained this status only in 2007, so it's less than 8 years that Chinese people are allowed to visit US. Well, as a matter of fact, during last week, President Xi Jinping visit in UK, British Premier unfold new visa regulation, and it seems that visa will be granted to Chinese citizens up to 2 years. One detail that can be important. Usually, media market this kind of visa as tourist visa, while often those are released upon very specific detail, maybe investment or other kind of business. The results of this opening are tangible, I would say. And in 2014, the number of Chinese tourists abroad are over 100 million. And the total expenditure is over 155 billion or US dollar. A detail, we are talking about a country that has 1.3 billion estimated people. So 100 million of outbound tourists represent less than 8% of population. And again, when we say outgoing tourism, please remember that Asian countries are included. And those takes the lion's share because they are logistically more approachable, less expensive, etc. And so they count for 78, 80% of the outgoing traffic. Some of you already probably know that the main distinction about visa type, less than 4 people, it's considered FIT, so individual traveler. More than 4, it's group. So by law, by Chinese law, those are still managed only by Chinese tour operator. Maybe in the future, maybe things are changing. There are rumors of new openings in this regulation, especially in the Shanghai Special Zone. Details, honestly, are not extremely clear at the moment. Possibly a great investment will be required with still uncertain governance policies. Anyway, please consider this. Yes, maybe if you open in China your operator, you will skip the middleman, but still you will have to create a brand awareness and sales web. So it will be quite costly. I'll go through quick the key points. So this first paragraph is that Chinese industry, it's a young one. So Chinese tourists do not possess a real traveling education, and has an understandable repercussion on the selection of destination, the itineraries, kind of experience selected. Still, the requirement of the visa may pose a barrier, and this is a reason why travel groups still may represent a popular option.
Thank you, Simone. Let's go through, let's try to know better our audience with the second poll question. So, which is the business area your company is operating in? So the options are hotel accommodation, tour operator, and promotion agency. Let's launch the poll question, okay? And let's wait for the 80% of you. Okay, 10% more. So seems that the third one is the most voted. Okay, 5% more. Okay, I confirm the third one, that is a promotion agency. What do you think, Simone, about this?
Well, this is interesting because basically what we have here, it's in the last 10 years, the itineraries that are proposed on the market are basically the same. So if prom agency concerning new destinations or areas target the market, well, this may influence the crowd and create new trends. And the business would be more interesting in this case. If you allow me, I will go through the second section.
Please go on.
Okay. So the section is about the key tools for reading today's market. The point is we will go through the holiday system, a point I found quite fundamental. The traveling in general seem perceived as a social tour in Chinese society, and the perception and expectation of the consumer, of the Chinese tourist. So the holiday system, here again, a little detail that I'm not sure all of you knows, is that it's only 99 when holidays have been introduced in the People's Republic of China. And it's only in 99 that people start to have free time to dedicate eventually to travel. In 2008, there was a major reform, new new national holidays were introduced. We are still talking about mostly, roughly, 3 weeks, but those were more fractioned. This is a very important point because it means that the government decided to boost local tourism. Of course, if your holidays are fractioned, it will be more difficult for you to take in holidays on the other part of the globe. Same year, 2008, labor contracts start to include additional holiday and holidays are paid. So of course, it's fundamental to understand when your targets have free time, if the free time is paid. Traveling is a social tool. This it's general analysis. You have to remember that People Republic of China open up to the global to the world only recently, and only recently citizens have started to develop their individualities and to expose to let's say material culture that arise from the West. What is important today for the individual is to show materialize its status, and we will see in the following section how this actually is happening. Generally speaking, anything that can help this to share a story about oneself, and to define at the same time the personality of the individual, it's more than welcome. The social media revests a very important aspect in Chinese life, and it's a huge component to take into consideration. So it's not only the experience that we are offering to our customer, but the chance we are giving them to share a story about themselves, and the experience. It's maybe not brilliant to say, but the experience must give the possibility to be shared. Otherwise, it's difficult that will be chosen. Last point for this section will be perception and expectation. So we will go through quickly confrontation costs among countries. We will start from something simple, food. It's very cheap in China, and much lower price, of course, than the standard European counterparts. And of course, I mean, sometimes travelers long for their own food while visiting other countries. This is something that happened to us as well. And Chinese restaurants in Europe are usually cheaper than local ones. This is an important point because will allow the operator to reduce their cost. Michelin restaurants, well, they are often requested because good restaurant can be very expensive in China, and following the point we just said about the spread of information and aspect that can shape an individuality, Michelin restaurant is an experience to be shared. Vehicle transportation, extremely cheap in China. Here I'll give you an example, so we start to be a little bit more operative. Here in Beijing, I can have 8-hour Buick van with driver for 700 RMB, which is more or less 100 euro. While in Italy, for example, it will cost me 4 times more. Professionalism and standards, unfortunately, it's not really perceived. Those are, generally speaking, not very seasoned travelers. So as much as the car is clean, that would be fine, and they will perceive the brand of the car, not much else. Working hour, taxis, I will skip taxis for the moment, drivers, food and lodging. Uh, Here I'm referring to the driver expenses. This one just to be a simple example. Food expenses for a driver will be 15, 30 euro twice per day. In China, it's around 3 to 6 euro or even less. Simple accommodation in Europe, still we're talking about the driver, will be 68 euros, and in China can be as low as 815 euro. Why I'm giving this example, this when we present the bill to a Chinese customer or we give a quotation to a Chinese operator, this will be the first culture shock he will meet. Guides, again, extremely cheap in China. 68 euros per day is the cost that we pay here in the Middle Kingdom, which is basically the same price that we pay for 1 hour in Europe. Even more if these people are specialized in Oriental languages. Professionalism and standards, sad to say, not really perceived as there are not great knowledge. Guides do not need to be extremely well prepared. Guides and tour leader. This distinction is not really clear for Chinese and for Chinese operator. And being a tour leader extremely less expensive than a guide. Sometimes the situation lead to the feelings from the Chinese counterpart to be cheated. So I recommend to be extremely clear on this point. Hotels, extremely cheap in China. And I will run a very easy comparison here. Milan city center, 5-star, exclusive brand, 45 square meter room, almost 800 euro. BJ, similar condition, 60 square meter, 320 euro. So there is a very big gap about the perception. Again, hotel here in China are mostly new. Design hotel, wide room, while in Europe, due to urban planning, conservancy regulation, hotels tends to have smaller room. And also Chinese hotels are quite top-notch in technology, while in Europe often Wi-Fi, just a point for all, is often not available or available at high price or available by cable service, which is completely useless for mobile devices. Here I'm just talking by experience, so maybe it's not the best, but this is what it's happening in Europe. Tailored services, a few examples, chopstick, Chinese buffet, maybe for breakfast would be nice, languages. These actually represent an issue only for mass tourism. Anyway, it represents a preference. Some key points about this chapter. It's simply taking into consideration the free time your potential customer has. This is a fundamental step. And would be also important to start to measure excellence or the service quality, not only rely on our standards, but taking in consideration the customer standards.
Thank you, Simone. I would like to interrupt you because I get a very interesting question from one of the audience. The question is related to the first part, and it is that as you know, since October 12, the European Union announced that in Schengen nation will require Chinese visa applicants to provide biometric data. Do you think this will affect the flow of Chinese tourists in Europe? Please.
Yeah, the question is an interesting one. Yeah, it's just been, yeah, it happened just a week ago. So, mm, so currently, usually the visa are released by Visa Center. Here, every country works in a different way. Some is still the embassy or consulate. Some externalize the service to the Visa Center. As far as I know, this apply for the first time. Then the biometric will be should be in place for at least 5 years. But anyway, this represent for China due to its dimension. Uh, it may represent a drawback because the tourists will need to pay flight in most of cases to reach the visa centers. As far as I know, most European countries are on the same page at this point. Because usually, I know I have 2 or 3 visa center representatives. So typically will be Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou. Um, there can be a positive result though, because this could lead to a spread over the country of representative and visa offices. And actually, this can be very interesting because the positive effect will be for presence in the country and for promotion of the destination. So I would be curious to see how the different countries will handle the situation. But there is, my opinion, I mean, it's a very recent law, so we will see what happens. But there can be positive results in this, I believe.
Thank you, Simone. I would like to remind to the audience that you can post some question or send your comment during the webinar through the question pane on the left of your screen. So Simone will try to answer to the question as he just did. So, or alone during the webinar or during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Please, Simone.
Okay, let's have a look about the demand, the Chinese customer. So how do Chinese people form the opinion, which are the influential sources? And I added a daily life condition that will lead us to what Chinese customer value. So media, as everywhere, I mean, in a global community, have very, very strong influence. We're talking about television, the star system, magazine, movies, etc. Social media platform, user-generated content, peer-to-peer, which way you want to call it. Here in China, it's huge. And it's the fundamental aspect we should take into consideration. Because, I mean, it affects the sports, the shopping attitude, value system, unfortunately, sometimes, and of course, travel destination and experiences, the preferences. We witness a dramatic increase of incoming business when some destination is featured in international movies or local Chinese comedies, for example. TV programs inviting stars traveling abroad, or magazines, cover magazine, not different from how the fashion industry works. These have a very big repercussion. The testimonial here is very important, as in the fashion industry. It's the same way the testimonial become the product. The difference here is that they can reach through the social media millions of followers, in some cases hundreds of millions, and this is not an exaggeration. So the media has an extreme power in addressing the base. Another point taken from another angle, I would invite you to start considering the daily life of your potential customer, how these people live, what they cannot stand maybe in their life, what they crave for, what worries them. Believe me, to live in a megalopolis of 20 million people, things are quite different than living in old Europe. I will I'll take some example, just few and simple ones. Let's talk about pollution. Everybody, this is often on newspaper or magazine, so let's have a direct contact with this. Um, by experience, I can say in Milan, like when PM 10 reach 50, the traffic it stopped. January 2013, here we have quite a record, 886 on PM 2.5. So in this case, do you believe that a breath of fresh air it's something highly considered by these people, especially when they have kids, and this touristically lead us to summer camps or study abroad, or for the elder, medical holiday, retirement. Um, this pollution, this awareness of pollution and its effect, it was used very cleverly in a couple of products. I will talk later about them, but just to have, just we will talk it briefly. I'm talking about Maldives and Polar Expedition. Those are areas that became extremely trendy because probably soon they will not be there anymore due to global warming and pollution effects. So the designer identified here correctly what could be perceived as important or unique by its target. Another example, food quality. Here is a major concern here in China. Every day we read on newspaper about milk manipulation, chicken fever, exhaust oil used in restaurants. Recently, the Mediterranean diet, talking about Europe, became a UNESCO intangible heritage. Agritourism, it's well-developed experience in Europe. Slow food movement, it's growing strong. And those ideas, only recently, the Chinese people start to make sense of these concepts. And those could represent a great advantage for us. Another example, time. I mean, all of us have, Rome, Paris, Barcelona, London. Everybody has very clear what does it mean commute in a capital city. But Beijing, it's a bit different. With the city itself counts over 19 million of people, and the municipality covers it's big as half of Belgium. Milan, it's 1.3 million people. So Beijinger, I'm talking about residents, have a daily commuting time 2 to 3 hours. This means that times and distances are perceived in a different way, and this can represent a great advantage in Europe for area that are destinations that are perceived as remote from us, but maybe they will not be perceived as remote by a Chinese point of view. Key points about this section is that to analyze daily perception of your customer would lead you to interesting facts, and those could be very precious for an attractive communication. and for your travel design. Cluster analysis may even be more interesting than that. Remember one thing, all the data that you read everywhere on media about percentage, details, number, all of those must be interpreted correctly. And the presence in your market could help you definitely doing so. Those could represent definitely a fundamental step.
Thank you, Simone. Let's go through the third poll question. Please, coordinator, launch the third question. So now the question is more related to your third section. The question is, which of the following influential sources could affect more your business? And the options are food quality, environment quality, logistics, and awareness. Let's again wait for the 80% of you. Seems that the fourth of you, the first one is the most voted. There is a match between the third one and the fourth one. Let's wait for 10 more percent. We are at 70% now. Okay, so brand awareness win. So Simone, what do you think about this result?
Well, if the brand awareness it's the lead here, well, it means that the area and the destination interested at the moment, even if not directly involved in the Chinese market, are quite traditional ones. So it means those are destinations that in some way are already pretty well known. I would think about like capital cities in Europe. The other answer could lead to interesting points as well. We will see for the next time maybe.
Thank you, Simone. So we can go on with the fourth section, that is the supply chain market players. Please, Simone.
Okay, in this section we will have an overview about the market players. I will talk about the Chinese tour operator, one example for all market player, and the challenges that we can have collaborating with Chinese operator. I say the Chinese operator because I'm going to talk about the Chinese International Travel Service, which was founded in '54 and was a government department for non-political contacts among countries. It's only in '99 that CITS we have a separation, even at least financially. At this stage, CITS had 46 offices in China, so no wonder that receive an award as being #1 in tourism industry in China. We're talking about quite a presence in the market, colossus, I would say, and is not the only one. Let's talk about operators in general. They are demand driven. They will never ask you anything that the customer don't ask them. They are not innovative. due to their dealing in groups, so need to be competitive on price, and they are attractive for first-time traveler and attractive for mass market, of course, because they have a competitive price. At the same time, requirements for the visa are not that easy on Chinese people, and group visa requirements are easier. So this is the reason why still group travel receive a share of market, a good share of market. They have a very high markup, especially when we're talking about luxury market. And this is interesting because they still believe luxury experience, luxury price, it's a part of the luxurious experience. But actually, it's not true anymore, honestly. And it's not applicable when customer pays with their own money. Here, the reference is to the recent crisis concerning government officials. So this is just a cluster of market that does not exist anymore. OTA, they don't work different here in China than they do in Europe. Price-driven cross clusters, of course, very solid online presence, and require high commission and the lowest price on the market. So it can be a good instrument for developing a destination or during European low season. But please remember a point. Its value for the customer reside in the low price only. So I would say in the long run, it's not the best option possible. Clubs. Okay, here they may be interesting because they look for something different related to their activity to offer to their members. They are very poor in delivery, and they have an insane markup usually. So it's a good way to reach your cluster, but due to the poor delivery, you have to sell it your own. You cannot rely on them for doing so. And regarding the insane markup, by experience, I can say that the chance of closing the file are reduced. So maybe having a local presence, you can sort out a kind of viable deal. Otherwise, it can be very hard to sell your product through them. Talking about challenges, collaborating with the TO, basically you can find a soft spot if they need a product which is original, new, specialized. Mass market is and will stay in their hand. This is at least my experience, my perception. I would try with an exception anyway, because following this section we will have case studies, and the case studies I would like to take into consideration will clarify that if you design something correctly and you communicate it rightly, basically you will be able to sell anything. So we will go through there after the key finding, which is mainly concerning about a local presence, which would be essential, and also for the point that we discussed before. Luxury, there's a lot talking about luxury, but luxury is not sold online or through unprepared stuff. You need to have a preparation to address this cluster, especially when a certain amount of money are required, people will make questions. And last point is that operators are demand driven. So the best way would be to influence the demand, to address directly the base through media. Maybe it can be a way, or through other systems. They will only answer the demand, but they will not never create something original.
Thank you, Simone. Before going through the case studies, I would like to read a question that is from our audience. And the question says that Chinese people, in comparison with European people, usually have holidays in different periods of the year. For example, Chinese New Year in February, national holidays, and so on. So the question is, do you think that this could be a challenge or an opportunity?
Well, yeah, the holiday system is different from ours. So, okay, we have to check first of all the holiday that we're talking about, which kind of holiday it is. Chinese people are still traditional. So I would say that an holiday like the Tom Sweeping Day would not lead us for anything good for holiday. Probably they would stay in China and travel to their home. National holiday, for example, this is a suitable example. It's in October. It's almost 1 week. So if you attach some days, it can become a long holiday. Yes, it's an opportunity, also because it's not high season in our countries, and I mean, referring to Southern Europe, for example, it's still a good season. I mean, there are areas of Southern Europe that people are still swimming in the sea. I have a question mark here. The destination, it's really to extend their working period. It seems silly question, absurd question, but by experience, I would say that they are the first to be static in their traditional attitude. Okay, they have their season, they work, that's it. Yeah, so to answer your question, it can be an opportunity if the destination people are willing to take it.
Thank you, Simone, for your answer. We still have 10 minutes, so let's go through the case studies, and then we will see if we have still time to answer to your question. Please, Simone.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So I'm going to present two case studies. They are simply, in my opinion, two masterpieces, because these guys took into consideration the cluster of reference, the market player, the customer perception, and they were able to put on a map a destination that was unknown, not logistically close to the country, and an experience that does not include any of the preferred activity by Chinese people. So Maldives will be the first one. Maldives 6-night travel package. This belongs to some years ago. 6 nights, which are actually 3 nights in the Maldives, 2 nights in Hong Kong, no services here, and 1 night in flight. At the time, we didn't have, there was not a direct flight from Beijing to the Maldives. China neither have an embassy in Maldives, as far as I know. And in this way, they created a very competitive package price, added value with shopping in Hong Kong, because there are Chinese mainland custom tax are different, are not applied. And you have a limited time of sea leisure, sea experience, so that you can share on social network. Chinese are quite known for not liking to to be tanned, for example, so an island destination doesn't make much sense. So this package, it's simple to sell, low price, provide a story to tell. You can also have some shopping at lower price. It's perfect. This happened in 2010. Today, in 2011, China opened an embassy at the Maldives, and the Chinese market represents a very important one for the Maldives. Destination now, it's a routine one. It's a classic, it's a must. Why didn't exist before? And I said already that, but one selling point is that probably Maldives will not, due to the pollution and warming effects, will not be there for long. Second example, Polar Expedition. Here, the operator or the person who designed this itinerary worked completely in the other way. They bet vast amount of resources, both on logistic and on media. I would maybe consider if there has been some very forward thinking and financial support from the destination itself, something which is quite rare, but they were extremely successful. Operational point of view, the icebreaker, it's paid in full. So in this way, they can have a very good price. Actually, they are already fully booked 1 year for the other. They promote the uniqueness of the experience again because polar ice will not be there for a long time anymore. And they win over the crowds through a very careful planned sensibilization campaign, making use of important testimonial and the social web spread. So this product was possible to do, to be created only with vast financial possibility, but anyway created a very successful destination, very successful experience that was absent from the market before. Okay, so that we have many from agency. I would like to spend a few words about the destination attitude. My experience is I often meet a very bold attitude, so to focus only on the existing market. We all know that tourism is third-tier industry, so it goes well when politically and economical situation everything is running smooth. By experience, I would say that when a new market of tourists arrive in the destination, those are brought by somebody, and will be extremely difficult to win them over in a second time. The only leverage often you will be able to use it will be price, which is a very poor choice. Please consider anticipating the need, lead the change. Even if you see no Chinese in your destination, well, this represents a very good advantage because you could be the first one to take them there. I would.
Thank you, Simone. We still have 6 minutes, so maybe I can read for you one question we received from the audience. So the first one we receive is, are ancient cultures important target for Chinese for week travel? So like ancient, so we're talking about ancient culture. So
Okay, generally speaking, in this case, they relate to what is widely known, or what I have a reference here. I will make an example for you. It's Recently, there is a writer, a lady. She's writing historical romance based on in the Romance time. So recently on the China market, everything which is related with the Roman culture became extremely popular. So you need to have a step. It's not really about which kind of culture we are talking. It can be Celts, it can be Romans, or whatever, but you need to have a contemporary step um, in today culture. This will be the key point, the important step to take. And again, here we're talking about communication. It's not really what you sell, but how you do it. It sounds silly, but it works pretty well.
Thank you, Simone. We don't have a lot of time, so please you can go on with the conclusion.
It's my conclusion. It's pretty simple. The knowledge of your market of reference, it's fundamental here. And it's just the last question help us to underline. Power of communication is extremely important. If you understand how to use the right tool, knowing your target perception, well, this is the key to advertise and sell an experience and a destination. Uh, Times are quite ripe for a change. In the last 10 years, the itinerary has always been more or less the same. There are few cluster of Chinese looking for something different, and so this could be a good moment for taking this kind of challenge. And this is my main conclusion.
Thank you, Simone. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so I would like to thank you first, Simone, and thank you very much for your participation today. If your question is not answered during the webinar, please feel free to welcome to use Ask the Expert service on Use Me Center after the registration. We will also upload the recording and slides to Use Me Center website. And in the end, I would like to remind you that the next webinar of Use Me Center will be China's Water 10 Plan Introduction, and it will take place on November 5th. So, and the last remind is the email address of Simone, that is simone.sturla@italybao.com for any further inquiries. So, thank you again for your participation and have a nice day.